I'd like to advise that an audio-visual recording is being made of this meeting. I also remind everyone present to be respectful and considerate towards others attending the meeting. Language or behaviour that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory or threatening to any person attending the meeting or to those to the recording will not be tolerated. I'd like to start by paying respect to the traditional and original owners of this land, the Mama-Rimina people, to pay respect to those that have passed before us, and to acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community who are custodians of this land. There's a list of attendees there for tonight's meeting, which I did today, the 18th of November. So, have we got any apologies for absence? No, I think we've got a full house, haven't we? That's good. Do we have any declarations of interest? No. Confirmation of the minutes from the last meeting. The recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 21st of October 2025 be confirmed. Can I have a mover, please? Michael Larkins and Councillor Nichols. Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Nichols. Thank you. All those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Move on to item 6 on the agenda, the Mayor's report. Recommendation that the Mayor's communication report be as listed and be as listed be received. Can I move, please? Councillor Reid and Deputy Mayor Larkins. Thank you very much. Quite a bit there. I'm sure I've missed conversations. A lot of in-person conversations this month. But are there any? Yes, Councillor Reid.
Just an update on the Community Foundation conversation, which was CEO Ian Bird and Director Duncan Smith. Not Rodney Green, so we'll just update that one. And Duncan Smith, yeah. And a question about the Ramsar Wetlands meeting. It's at the bottom of the list.
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Yes, so that project, this is the second sort of working group meeting that we've had online proper, and it's an update on where the project is, the Rivers to Ramsar, which we have funding for to improve the water quality of Frogmore Creek, Orielton Rivulet and Sorrel Rivulet. I think there's something like 27 landowners have been engaged that border onto those creeks to improve the waterway that's running into the West Ramsar site and to increase the acreage of salt marsh as well. It's an environmental improvement and also a bit of future proofing for climate change and water rises, sea level rises. I'm just looking to see where they are in the so the baseline monitoring, water monitoring is complete, as in the appropriate permits to do works. They have to contact 4 different agencies to get the appropriate permits. The initial water quality surveying and the monitoring is aerial surveying and a photographic of weed and rubbish as well. There's a few rubbish dumps being identified with fly tipping. And the summer surveys are going to commence soon. So it's progressing nicely. The team are currently looking for approximately or up to 21 hectares of additional land that they could rehabilitate and remediate back into salt marsh. So they're still open to individuals to take part.
Thank you.
they've also engaged some contractors as well, or in the process of engaging contractors. Seed collection, native seed collection, and plant generation has started. They're contracting a planter and creating a weed management plan at the moment. So, that's what's going on there. Councillor Reynolds.
Can I get more information around your visit with the men's shed with the ladies and have that sort of discussion on there?
Very enthusiastic ladies. Really loved their time in there. Very chatty, very much a community. Wanted updating on where council and the men's shed were. They didn't feel that they were in line with the communications or updated with the communications that we've been having with the men's shed. But I sat down with them and I took in master plan for the cultural precinct, community precinct, and the first drawings for the proposed men's shed at Penna, and they thought it was actually quite exciting. The one question that they have is around the availability of transport to get there, which we're aware of as a concern and a query both for the men and the women. So they are happy to talk on that further. I spoke to a lady who had spoken to you from Midway Point, who's an active member of the men's shed, and had a really good conversation with her. So I came back feeling positive. There was more positives than negatives out of the conversation.
That's what I was hoping that was going to be as well.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for doing the groundwork there. Any other questions on my report? No, you're all happy with it?
I'm
sorry,
ask
Councillor
you
Reid.
more. I guess a broad question. There's a long list, and a lot of them are community events that have been on, including Dodgers Ferry School Fair, the South East Art Exhibition, the Community Connection and Resilience event. I guess the question is, any comment more generally about how those community resilience in general, perhaps a reflection on the conversation last night.
Yeah, I think well, last night was about community resilience and how that develops and how that's the first part of a 4-stage plan. I like doing and I like being part, so that's why I volunteer to do these things. To me, it's about getting involved. It's about helping and demonstrating sort of
Being there.
More than being there, being part of it, helping to make it work as a demonstration to others that if the mayor can, then I can. You know, it's a case of I like getting in there and getting my hands dirty and being involved, and that is part of community resilience and encouraging people to be involved. That's it. Okay, all those that are happy with that recommendation? Thank you, unanimous. Report is listed. No supplementary items? No. So, there's a list of the workshops that we've had there, the workshop reports. No councillors' questions on notice. So we move over to page 8, which is the work group reports. Recommendation that the work groups reports be that the work group reports as listed be received. Can I have a mover? Yes. Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Nichols. Thank you. Open the floor to questions to the General Manager and others.
about your meeting with the Iron Creek General Manager. What was that?
For me, it was just a catch up. I hadn't spoken with Rod for quite a while. He just given me an update on how they were tracking, some further ideas he's formulating around how to increase patronage there. But it's certainly it's been improving since he took on the role. Yeah, it's just a general catch up really.
Councillor Reynolds.
A couple of questions. First one, General Manager, you're meeting with the Minister for Planning, Gary Vincent. Has he gave any sort of update or view on the duplication of the causeways?
There's a meeting tomorrow, which I won't be able to attend because I'll be attending the men's shed general meeting, but staff will be at the meeting with the project design group for the causeway. So the projects are still progressing, but tomorrow morning we'll have a much better idea of timing and the details around how to propose to them. Still a project and still committed. I'm just not sure how far away they are from at least being able to put the first causeway out to tender. So yeah, I'll know that tomorrow morning.
Excellent, thank you. And the second question, it's probably not in the report, but there was, in a rural town close by, disgruntled people over the spraying of the sideways and going into their paddocks. Have you had any contact from anyone in those rural sort of areas around a solution into the future on spraying of the nature?
Through the mayor, actually brought them to my attention the photos, and it was very disappointing. The contractor was finished. We were left with the issue, so the tender, or that contract engagement with that operator's now concluded. So we're at the point where we would, for next season, either be re-tendering or we may even bring it in-house, but that'll be the end of that contractor. So, yeah, pretty disappointing. But by the time we were made aware of the issue and made inquiries, they'd actually completed the entire network. So,
yeah, once they've sprayed, it's too late anyway.
yeah,
so
very.
How we resolve this so it doesn't happen.
Well, we won't be using that contractor again, and we may well, by virtue of practicalities and costs, it may be something that's worth us taking in-house.
Thank you.
Councillor Travis. Thank you. General Manager, could you elaborate on your meeting with GHD on the Old Fawcett Road and Lewisham Scenic Drive projects?
Yes, certainly through the mayor. So that I mentioned before around the Old Fawcett Road is to look at, I guess, the performance of that section from Icons Road to Carlton River, and just making sure we haven't missed anything with all the developments that are occurring and will be occurring with the school upgrade, pool, and potentially a development to the south of the pool, and also making sure we get pedestrians across safely. And the other one I decided to engage them as well, which they provided a quote for, was with Lewisham Scenic Drive, pedestrian access along that challenging section from sort of China Creek through to where the footpath commences around number 110 or thereabouts, 120. So they're doing a bit of a safety and options assessment or analysis for us then, because we've got to get to the point of going out to the community, obviously seeking their views on what we should do. And I thought, whilst I'm down here doing the other section, it made sense to get that work done anyway, and also it can be built into the, as part of the Southern Beaches Structure Plan, as well as some information that can go into that. So I just sort of struck while the iron was hot, if you like, while they're down there.
Yes, Lewisham Scenic Drive, of course, that was where I was coming from, and we've a proposed meeting, how many years ago now? A few. So that's a start anyway.
I just thought it made sense to get the expert view first, so when we go out to the public to get their input, we've actually got some evidence and some technical basis to why whatever we're going to propose, it's not just
It's not an easy
Ideas.
fix, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Nichols.
Just one question for the General Manager about the Arthur Highway corridor and your meeting with DSG.
Yes. Through the meeting, it's a positive. It's a positive. So I've had my dose of DSG last month. It's been good. It's always good with DSG, in case they're watching. I digress. So by virtue of the federal funding commitment, the 200 mil, and their existing state commitment of 50, there's that 250 mil funding available. They're going through a process that we have to go through where they've got to apply to the federal government to get the election commitments, which we have to do for the community precinct as well. It's quite tedious and onerous, but it's the game we have to play. So they're working through the corridor strategy that they had done a couple of years ago now, working through all the projects that was nominated. There's dozens of them, and just working out which ones are going to be the priority to allocate that money to. So that'll be made public in the new year. We've got to do all the concepts, the designs and the costings first to go to the federal government for consideration, hopefully approval, and then they'll go to the public and advise what they're proposing to do. So there are some projects in Sorell, there's some projects in the Tasman as well, and I think for the money they have available, what they've proposing as priorities make a lot of sense. Not everybody's going to be happy, but in terms of addressing the most pressing issues, based on the feedback they got from the community and their own technical assessment, I don't have any objection to what they're likely to propose.
Thank you.
Councillor Reid.
Thank you. General Manager, the meeting, the Sorell School Association meeting, what are the issues for the school when it comes to the Sorell structure plan?
Well, through the meeting, that was just to clarify. So the package of documents that Shane and Planning managed to prepare for that project, really impressive. And within one of them, there's a question around the southern section of the school site, which is largely vacant, around what does the school community and the department think about the future of that area? Do they want to retain it for the school? Do they want to consider it for some other use? So it's just the inclusion of that. But because that was in there, I think it was interpreted that we're maybe proposing a rezoning, which we're not. So I offered through Kelly Dye, the principal, to come and speak to that association, which I did. I was only there very briefly. The department's put in a formal bit of advice to Shane to feed into it, just reiterating some of the concerns from the school community. But I just want to reiterate what the project's about, what the structure plan's for, and that it's really, we're just asking the question because it needs to be asked, and because it's been quite a while since we sort of flagged that as a potential issue, like over 10 years ago, and a lot of different people involved now, and given how much growth we've got, and that the school still has potential to grow as well, both physically by virtue of how much site's available, and also what's going to happen in terms of residential growth. Just making sure that everyone's clear on what intention is for that site, because there is quite a bit of vacant land currently. So it was an easy discussion. It was good questions, and I didn't get thrown out. So it was a bit like the Dr. Freeze discussion. I went there nervous and didn't need to be.
There you go.
Until next time.
So the rumour of the subdivision, where did that stem from?
Through the mayor, that can I be quick?
Yep.
When I first started here 12 years ago, Kerry and I were agitating to the department and to the then minister that the school needed serious investment. Very senior department person responded with why there's no growth at Sorell, and I just had to put Valium into Kerry to calm him down, and he lost it. And there was no funding provision for any sort of investment there, let alone they didn't think there needed to be investment. So to start, we thought, well, we come up with a potential subdivision layout for just the bottom section that came off Nash Street, to say, well, if there's no funding, then you could potentially do this to generate some funding, which wasn't met very happily by some of the school community at that time. So we effectively shelved it, and then over the years following that, the government woke up to the fact that schools desperate need of investment, and it finally happened. So that's how far back it goes. It was just to flag it with them.
Revisited just recently, wasn't it? The room will be.
The room absolutely was, but we,
So nobody knows where it came from.
the genesis was over 10 years ago, but we haven't really done anything with it since.
Thank you.
Anything further? No, I'd like to actually thank the staff and the community. Actually, we've got throughout the work group reports, there's a real rash of community engagement, and that's staff working beyond their regular hours. So thank you and travelling as well. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for the community for turning out and engaging with us. We asked the question and you're responding, so thank you to everybody for doing that. If there's no more questions, can I put the recommendations to the vote? All those happy with the recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 12 on page 14, petitions still being actioned. I don't think there's any change to that since the last meeting. The whole history is there and the status is there to read.
Should assist me. The last paragraph I did update from the last agenda because
I noticed
this will be until such time as we complete the management plan.
Yeah.
So this item will remain. So I just put a little update there. The last paragraph.
Okay. I thought that was there before. Okay.
May I have a question for that?
Yep. I'll take a question.
Yes, for Mr. Higgins, please. So there's that last paragraph that says that preferred design concept be distributed for community engagement. Is that there's going to be a formal community consultation about this, or how's that going to be?
Through the mail, I've been liaising with DBAS on between DBAS and Stacey and how we might do this. I wasn't sure whether to try and get the reserve management plan, be able to put that to bed first and then redo the DA for the permanent design, permanent outfall design, or do them together, or so I just deferred to them as to how they thought it was be best dealt with, and it was DBAS's view, which I've reflected in that an updated paragraph around. We could do it concurrently and try and make up for some lost time of go through some internal issues around staff resources to put to it. So
If I'm understanding correctly, so the reserve management plan will be updated and then put for consultation with the design, the new design? No, my understanding.
do the community engagement first, and then at the same time, in theory, update the reserve management plan and try and get the DA process underway as well, because that's going to take quite a period of time with likely EPBC processes and other things. So, no, certainly DBAS was very clear. He wanted to put the concept out to the community first.
And this is with the outfall that's currently set up.
This is with an outfall at the boat ramp.
Yeah. So like that same pipe that's right now. Oh, well, not a pipe, but yeah, it is a pipe that's set up in there. Is that right?
Yeah, it'd be an arrangement where we would make some drainage alterations in Cannar Street in the road reserve, and then it'd be piped past the park and then under the car park.
Yeah, thank you.
Okey-dokey, on to item 15, governance. 15.1, councillor representatives on committees. Recommendation that council resolves to appoint councillor representations on various committees as nominated in the accompanying report. Now, I think there's a couple of changes to the published agenda. And this recommendation is in response to Deputy Mayor Woolley resigning and Deputy Mayor Larkins being appointed in his place, and another change as well with the Copping refuse disposal site to name the General Manager as the proxy. I'll have someone to move it. Councillor Rees, Deputy Mayor Larkins, thank you. So are there any questions on this list? The changes are up there. But with the Copping refuse disposal site, it's, like I said before, the proxy is the General Manager. The Deputy Representative is Deputy Mayor Larkins. Pembroke Park Advisory Committee, Deputy Mayor Larkins is added to that. The SCCA, there is no representative, there is no SCCA. Councillor Shaw and Deputy Mayor Larkins are added to the Planning Authority, and the Gas Local Government Association, the proxy is Deputy Mayor Larkins. There's nothing, any questions on that? No? All those happy with the recommendation to accept those variances? Thank you, unanimous. On to page 19, finance. 18.1, executive summary. Recommendation that the executive summary financial report October 2025 year to date be received and noted by council. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Nichols. Thank you. Second. Are there any questions or comments on this report? Councillor Reid.
I think, as usual, we are well served by the report, and it doesn't leave us with many questions. But I just wanted to note, particularly the above budget rate collection, and which is very healthy given other constraints on people's budgets. So our systems are obviously working well, and that's good to see.
Just on the public open space, we're clocking up a bit of money there, which is good, and it's on a separate account, I understand. Were we going to have a meeting to discuss was there a proposal some time ago to discuss what we're going to do with that public open space money that's accumulating?
It's built into the long-term financial plan. So with our new and upgrade capital projects over the next 5 to 6 years, within those that are nominated where it's appropriate, the source of funding for those is coming from these reserves, if you like. So I won't do it now because I'll probably put people to sleep, but I can walk the council through again what projects we're saying will be funded through public open space contributions, plus the land sales component as well. So we've over-committed to it based on current balance, but it'll keep, what should I say? The funds will continue to come in as development continues to occur. So as the years fall due in the future, funds there.
So was I correct though? I thought there was a discussion some time ago about meeting with some of that funding that was excess, I suppose, and what we were going to do with it.
Yes, it's built into that, what I call the bed sheet, so the joint spreadsheet will give you an upgrade project. So
there's nothing,
I can walk the council through, I think next workshop's projects
where it's been,
allocated to them.
that would be good.
And it's generally some land improvements, you know, basically public open space improvements, pathways, things like that.
Thank you.
Anything further? No? All those happy to accept this recommendation? Show of hands. Thank you. Unanimous. 18.2 capital budget adjustments. The recommendation that council resolve pursuant of section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the below adjustments to the 2025-2026 capital budget estimates. Can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Reid. Thank you. Any questions on this? No? Okay. All those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Takes us on to page 56. And as there is nothing further, we're on to questions from the public. Can that be right? So I'd like to open the floor to the audience, please. Stand and state your name. Sharon, please.
Sharon Hoscombe. Sharon Following Fawcett. It's not a question, it's just to tell the council that starting on Sunday, Air Services Australia are going to hold community engagement sessions with the community, more like dictatorship sessions. We were originally told that they were to start on the 24th of November, and they put the meeting for Primrose Sands on the 23rd, so that tells you what their attitude is. So a lot of people are not going to be there, a lot of people are not going to know, and Primrose Sands is the main area affected by the flights. So I'm just hoping a few councillors could come along, and I think the other meetings are at Dodgers Ferry at 1:30 to 3:30 on the Monday, and they don't want people down at Dunalley either on the Tuesday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Thank you.
Perhaps we could make a note and put the Air Services at the media and get it out there.
Yeah, that already is.
Is it? Okay, thank you. Next.
Do you like to go? No, you go.
Oh, so let's go.
Hello.
I think I failed to introduce myself last time, so I'm Marina Campbell. I've got 3 questions related to Ferry Hall. Are you open for me to ask 3 questions?
Yes.
Thank you. So I've got them written down. So the first question is, Ferry Hall, I noticed in the agenda for papers for the meeting today, that Ferry Hall was a recent council workshop topic. Could you tell us what was discussed?
Yeah, through the Mayor, it was really just a follow up for the last council meeting, Marina. We're talking about obviously the stat process that we concluded, and there was an appeal period there as well, and also from the questions I noticed we had, and also the public questions. So we're just working through how we may tackle it in terms of if we're going to do any comms and engagement in the new year around trying to garner what the community does or doesn't think or want around community facilities for Southern Beaches, thoughts on Ferry Hall or an alternate or where it may be. So we're just sort of kicking around what some of the questions may be and how we may go about it. So I suspect what will happen is there'll be what we're proposing this stage is a follow-up report to council, either December or January, which sort of sets out these matters, sort of as a separate to the stat process we've gone through, which is fairly regimented, around all the issues that are circulating and what we're able to do as a separate common engagement piece. Because we're also shortly in the new year, commencing the Southern Beaches Structure Plan comms and engagement as well, so we're just mindful. And DCIP are also going to do their own comms and engagement in the new year around the project as well, the school upgrade project. So we're just trying to make sure we plug in at the right time and don't flood people with too many engagement projects at once.
One of my questions sort of would follow on from that, just to ask you a little bit more detail if I can. So at the last meeting we talked about time being of the essence because of the planning process. So you've sort of been, you're saying you're kicking it around and trying to think about when the timing may be. Are you able to tell us then what steps would be taken? Like, are you in a position yet to talk about what that community engagement may look like?
No, that's what we've got to work out. We're already over-committed for that team with comms and engagement the next remainder of the financial year. And we've subsequently had an update from the DCIP project team on the upgrade project. So their DA now won't be coming in until sometime in the new year, like February, March maybe. And they'll be doing their own comms and engagement before that, with the updates to what how they've evolved the concept for the site. And then they'll be, all things being equal, if they get a DA issued, they won't be going to tender until the start of next financial year, with a hope that construction wouldn't actually start until commencement of 2020. What year are we in? End of 26, start of 27. So that, I thought they're going to lodge. Yeah, I thought the last instruction they gave us, well, not instruction, the last comment they gave us was, which surprised us, they're going to land the DA in November. But that's now been pushed out by a few months, so gives us a little bit more breathing space.
That's good. So my third question then, and in your report you spoke about, you reported on the meeting with DCIP and council staff. So I actually went away and reflected from the last meeting and I understood the statutory process and thought, but I didn't then go further with the question, well, that statutory process has happened. That doesn't then preclude council, I would expect, from then saying, like, is the statutory process bound to Ferry Hall also being handed across to the, like, it's not bound? So
separate, entirely separate.
So then, with the meeting that you had with, and I think there was quite a bit of sentiment here in the room at the last council meeting about asking council to speak to DCIP or to put more expectation on DCIP to contribute to the costs of moving Ferry Hall. Was there any opportunity in that project team meeting to discuss that, or is that a different meeting altogether? So just trying to sort of see whether that topic has been taken up by council and progressed.
Yeah, so the meeting we had, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday with the project team. So it was their architect, Paul Coburn, and Jason Follows, who's the project manager for the department. We did talk about it, and they're at the stage where they're finalising their QS on the project. So surprise, surprise, the QS has come back very higher than what they'd hoped. So they're going to work through a process where they can make decent cost savings and still get the outcome they need. So, and there's other peripheral things they're going to have to consider in this project that is also going to have to come out of that budget. So we didn't get any wins as far as commitment that any funds or further funds will go toward the Ferry Hall issue. More just a bit of an update session as to what happened at our last council meeting, the workshop we then had, and where they'd progressed themselves with their project. So,
do you think? Do you
Yeah,
think there's any door that is partially open that you can go through to explore that, or do you think there's not? I think I'm giving you probably an easy answer out here that you can go, no, door's closed. But I think that the sentiment would be that yes, we want to absolutely want everything for children, but a community facility is, as I said back at the last meeting, is also for children and for families. So I'm just really interested to know if there's any opportunity to progress that with DCIP.
Yeah, through them, they're going to struggle with the budget they've got to get this thing delivered. So I think it's in the without being rude, it's in the nice to do category rather than the must do in terms of Ferry Hall. But they hadn't received the QS, they will get it this week, so they're not 100% sure on what's in and what's out, if you like, so I'd say it's a fairly slight chance, but the door hasn't been shut completely.
Thank you for that. Thanks for the answers. I have another question, but it's on another matter, so I'll sit back down. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just, sorry, because it's on the same topic, Sharon Kent. I haven't prepared any questions, but I was just wondering if Ferry Hall can actually be moved and it ends up close by the school. I would imagine, and I've been a teacher at that school for 10 years as just casual relief, but I'm very familiar with it and what facilities they have and the requirements of the children there. I would imagine that Ferry Hall would be well utilised by the school as a performance space, given that it can, potentially be renovated and taken back to something what it used to look like. Because the gym is cavernous. If there's a class that's just wanting to, practice a play or a musical performance, the GP room is used as a classroom now. So there's just the gym, which is being used for PE throughout the day anyway. Just wondering if there's any room to negotiate with the school around it being a community and potentially a school facility as well.
I would suggest that's something you take back when they go to community feedback and present the designs to the school. That's a really good opportunity at that point to throw in extra ideas, because that's when you can identify on the plan that they're proposing. That's when you can identify the shortfalls and say, well, actually this could be a solution to that shortfall.
I see it as a win-win, really.
It does make it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
But I would suggest that is the point when you, it's certainly something that council can mention, and Robert can mention when he goes to the development meetings. But from a community perspective and a teacher perspective, the ideal time to identify that as a possibility is in those final, sort of community consultation meetings that you have before they actually break ground. And that's coming from my experience when we went through this process with Sorrel School. That's when, the collective voice can highlight the relevance of Ferry Hall from the community, not just beyond the council advocating for you, actually from the community itself, and say, look, my experience as a teacher, I'm not, but you, my experience as a teacher, this is a real asset to this certain group of students, and this number of students. It's certainly something that we can make note of, but that would be the perfect opportunity, that time would be the perfect opportunity for you to stand up and say that to the developers, the architect, when everybody is in the room listening at those consultation.
Just a question around that. My understanding was that the consultation that was held some time ago, which not very many people attended, that was all ticked off as completed as far as what they needed to do around community. Is that not the case?
No, not if it's going to. The plans go for when they do the more detailed final plans. So the first consultation period is what sort of a wish list of what you would like as a community out of the school, and what's the parents and broader community. And then the next stage is more sort of finer design, more of a layout, a concept layout, designated spaces, and that's when you can identify shortfalls or possibilities. So that's the next stage, and that will happen sometime in the new year.
Okay.
I think you said, wasn't it?
Yes, so the first engagement I did a while back was sort of the fairly broad scale of how I make the site work, but since that time I've done a lot more work and a lot more clarity on what will or won't fit, for want of a better term. So that's what they'll be coming back out with in the new year is sort of the final proposal before it becomes a DA and gets formally advertised. So there's certainly an opportunity for additional feedback, and through the school association as well. They've got a project, what do they call it, a project working group, or so who have got direct input into this as well.
Okay. And finally, a bit of a, sorry, did you?
No, I was going to ask you about that. You finish on.
Bit of a cheeky question. Given that Sorell Council is in a fairly good financial position, would council consider putting some of the money towards the removal of Ferry Hall if the community can demonstrate a need for it?
That's one of the matters we would consider in time, but at this stage we haven't. I mean, the thing is with our financial position, it's a bit of a double-edged sword in that we've got reasonable cash levels to invest in services and in assets, but as we put funds, whether it's our own funds or grant funding, to building new assets or upgrading assets, there's a direct impact in how much rate revenue we need to offset the additional depreciation costs we have to cater for. So it's
more than taking money out of the bank to pay for something. You have to consider the long term.
The cost of the whole life of the asset.
The cost of the removal is one thing, and then you have to have the updates, and then you have to start depreciating it as well as maintaining it. So it has to fit into a very long-term financial plan. So, but it's certainly something that it's one of the options.
Yeah.
But we have to work through that process.
Okay. One of the things that I've been interested in researching a little is Eaglehawk Neck Hall, which I attended an event there a couple of weeks ago, and it's I don't know if anybody's been there. It's just an amazing hall, and I didn't realise that apparently that was slated to be demolished because Parks and Wildlife owned the land that it was sitting on. So the community rallied together, saved the hall, and as far as I understand, it's actually a community facility. It's managed by the community, and they fundraise for the hall.
Well, that's another option.
Yeah. When I was working at Tasman, mercifully that wasn't a council asset. So it's similar to the Nugent Hall, Fawcett and others. Like they're a godsend for council because they're not sitting on our balance sheet costing money, and the community take ownership, and that's the much preferred way of it happening. But Eaglehawk's a great little facility.
Yeah,
really well used.
And speaking to one of the people that was on the committee, this was a couple of years ago, she said that it has really big advantages for the community in that there isn't the usual insurance loop, things to jump through.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, and so people can access and really use the hall.
Maybe that's something that the community needs to look at to see if it has the desire to rally to support it.
Yeah.
Itself. There are options, and we will assess all options, but that is one of them, and then the onus is on the community.
Yeah.
To do it.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, three again.
Yeah.
I just play devil's advocate on that. In my experience, that also can be risky as well. So you have examples of farmers leaving holes and those types of things, and a committee's there for 5 or 10 years, and then it falls away, and then it all falls back to the council anyway. But that wasn't the reason I was putting my hand up. But forgive my ignorance because I've been around the table on the topic, so probably uneducated on the matter. But is there actually anywhere that the hall is proposed to be moved? Is it still within the school site? And the second question to that is there any actual public land or council land in the area that's close by for it to be moved to? Is it been a conversation?
It's currently sitting on education
School,
land within the school footprint.
Yep.
And no, we haven't identified an alternative location for it.
So
Now,
has the
land is very limited.
as a community, got an idea, like for people that are trying to save it, what
There's-
were your thoughts? Where would you move it
Yeah.
to? There's a lot of talk about moving it, but where to?
I can fill you in later
Yep.
on the whole,
Let's go.
the whole story, because you have to look at the whole footprint of
Yep.
that school, Opines, sporting facility precinct, and the reserve as well. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to take into consideration. So happy to meet with you and the GM as well to
Yeah, happy to have a lot of, it was probably more from sort of community members who are sort of saving it, have they got an idea of where they want it?
There's pros and cons, there's quite a lot of discussion. Most of us feel that because O'Kines is like the heart of the community and the school is there, and if the school ends up using the hall, that would make sense. There are others that have got other ideas, but at this stage, I think the main thrust of everybody's concerns is we don't want to see it demolished.
Deirdre Bigger, as you know who I am. In the December AGM last year, I put forward two issues of concern that I had. The eradication of the bone seed, which in the group that was there they did approve, but nothing's been done. The other was I required the lowering of the gum trees that tower over my two-storey house. And I wish to point out that I still get bits of branches falling on my tree, on my garden and on my house. And the thing that worries me most is that if anything comes through my window, I could be a little bit dead, and that would really upset me. So I want to know what's going to happen with my blasted trees.
we know further on in terms of finding the owners of that land on which the trees.
It would have been the Reardons. That's where we bought it from in the 1940s.
It was part of an estate, and I don't think that estate has been properly sold.
But you,
Joe has an update from the past trustee. She can put it in the certificate.
I think
It's not a great update.
we had an update to say that there is no update.
I know, I got that.
It's not we still can't do anything until.
Would it help if I went to the ombudsman?
Possibly.
I'll ask the mate here how to do it. The other is, hang on, I've got to find where my little note is. Right. This is entirely different, not a complaint as such. The council was a major sponsor to our recent Southeast Art exhibition, and at one point we were a little bit concerned that it was going to go ahead because we had about 30 people applying to have an item in, and I did 2 paintings. Now, I understand that there were 2 anonymous, very intelligent people who recognised my talent, and they bought my paintings. And I've got them here tonight, and I don't know which ones you want.
I've got the one with the extra branches.
I don't know which. So, yes. I found out, I did a bit of sleuthing, you see, and found out which one was which. So thank you both. I don't know why you did it.
So the South East Arts Association did a very, very
Which
good
one?
job
I think
putting on
that was
that.
mine. Thank you.
You've got that one.
Putting on the exhibition, it was very well attended, and I thank all the volunteers for all their hard work who sat there all weekend and worked very long hours setting up. And I know there are some of those individuals here today, so thank you for all your hard work. And it was a really successful weekend.
Everyone sort of admired it, and I don't think I had any complaints when I was sitting there.
No.
I did try and bribe the judge, because I had to pick him up, and he needed to go home, but he wouldn't budge. And I did try and suggest to people if they wanted the People's Choice, I would offer to spell my name for them, but nobody took me up on it.
There was 2 votes, but they looked like your handbag.
It was from me, and I knew my granddaughter, who wasn't there, would have appreciated voting for me.
Bear in mind, this is recorded.
I didn't want to record it.
We have a proud baby. I liked it.
Is it the gum tree?
It is one of the gum trees. Yes. And that is actually sunset over Frederick Henry Bay.
Beautiful.
Eleanor Coombe, just an addendum to what Deirdre said. The council was fantastic towards us as South East Arts. Supported us, was there, visited, enthusiastic, privately helped in many ways. So all I can say is to all of you, we really appreciate you. So thank you for helping us pull that off. Thank you very much.
And also the men's shed built some frames for us so we could hang in the pictures. So we're grateful for all the people who made a donation.
Right. Sorry. Yes. Sorry, no.
Yeah.
Yes. Could you please explain what the Southern Beaches structural plan is? I saw it tendered on the weekend. I'm sort of getting a gist of what it is, but it'd be really great to understand what it is. Thank you.
Through there. It would be much better if Shane was here to explain it, our planning manager, but it's looking at basically how do I describe this? It's the future footprint, amongst other matters, of Southern Beaches from Lewisham through to Primrose Sands. So it's looking at land capability, it's looking at growth, servicing, it's wanting to get an idea from the community about what they want Southern Beaches to be as well. There's a myriad of things that get considered in a structure plan. Ultimately, it would flow through, for it to be tangible, it flows through to the planning scheme, either in changes to zoning or it might have particular controls, like a special area plan applied over Southern Beaches that has different types of development standards that reflect what the community desire. So we haven't really done any sort of strategic planning per se for the Southern Beaches on that scale for quite some time. So there's a number of large landowners who for well over 10 years have wanted to have their land rezoned to enable future development to occur, and the regional land use strategy that applies to the south of the state, so all the southern councils, is only just about to become put out for public exhibition as a second version. So we've still got the first version, which dates back to around 2010, which has all, based on growth data from the prior census to 2010. I can't think when it was now, 2006 or something. So it's miles out of date, and it's set for the Southern Beaches basically a no or low growth development scenario only. So it's been unable to do any strategic rezoning at Southern Beaches because that overarching strategy says no. So we're doing the work now to determine if there are zoning changes that are required or not. Because without that overarching strategy changing to reflect that, nothing will change. So we're just doing the groundwork now that's long overdue. But we'll still potentially have to have the battle with the State Planning Office around the overarching regional land use strategy, if that has to change or not. So it's going to be quite an extensive project. It's going to take some time to conclude. There's going to be a fair bit of common engagement at various stages throughout it as well. So.
And that's the priority. Communication.
Thank you. Is there anything further from the public? No? In which case then I will close the meeting at 7:03. Thank you everybody for attending and the questions and contributions.